identify the unique features of an environment in composing texts that are useful across discipline, or a book review or article pretext. So, as a book review, here I choose from my reference about the Doppelganger Chronicles of the Great Mogul Diamond by Gideon Isidro. So, here, as the Great Mogul Diamond is the third installment of G.P. Taylor's The Doppelganger Chronicles, set in the late 1800s. So the series invites a Victorian London intrigue reminiscence of the Sherlock Holmes collection. So in this book of Gideon Isidro, here you can research in a Google so that you may be able to know the whole story about this one. So for the characterization, of course, in every story and every movie, we have a character that we should know. So may mga person in every movie. So we need to explore in the story who is the character in this story about the Doppelganger Chronicles. Anyway, it is a suspense type of book. No, wherein in every story in this particular title, the reader may intrigue to read more and more because of the suspense, wherein the reader interested to know more deeper about the story. Isn't it? Page 11. And we have a plot. So when we say the plot, it is the main events of a play, in a novel, or in a particular movie. So it has a introduction, a rising and a falling part of a story, and we have also the denotation. Do you still remember the plot? The sequence of a plot? Way back in your grade 8, grade 9, or grade 10? Do you still remember that? In every story, we have an introduction. How does the story being started? Do you still remember that in writing a story or in reading a book? No idea? Grade 11? You can share your thoughts. No idea? By reading a book, there's always an introduction. Or when does the story begin? And then we have the rising and the falling of the event or the climax. Then the denotation or the resolution of the story. So here, okay, let's go on. For the art and delivery. In every story of a book, it should have an art or delivery wherein the reader read if the story are interested, because he or she uses what? Keywords or a descriptive words that has to describe in everything he do, or he describe even in a simple house, or how the characters are being manipulate the story. Okay? So, let's proceed na lang in the final verdict, wherein if you read a book, you critique the book and give its points. So, out of 10, if you read that particular book, how will you rate the book? Or out of 5, or maybe if you like the story, you may rate it in a 5% or 2.5%. It depends on you on how the story caught your attention or interest. So here for the deeper explanation, for the definition, okay, here it is, a book. Maybe it is or probably one of the best things that man has ever invented. Because in reading a book, you might or you can learn more about, even in a fantasies, Okay, you may imagine it to yourself while you are reading in a particular uh, title of a book or your favorite book. Okay, you will learn a lot of things in an informative way. Okay, then as a student, a book is a good help in your studies, right? So here, as a part of a book review, may vary depending on what kind of review is necessary. However, the following are suggested because it contains the basic part of a book review of any book genre. So first, here in a book review, particularly, we have an introduction. How it includes an information about books like its title and author, sorry for the error type. Introduction gives the background of the story where readers will be able to understand what the story is about and where it is needed. So sometimes in an introduction of a book, it may cause your attention to go on reading with that particular title of a book. You might explore more to know what's happened on the middle part of the story or at the end or how it ended by reading it their introduction. And then for the second, we have the characterization. So it describes the attributes and emotions of the characters in the story. The characters may describe as how people are described. In the real world, some people may relate to the story because of the character that the author built. A good description of their personality is what makes readers to love or hate the characters in the story. And even in viewing some movie or even there in reading a story, you might hate the characters or you might love the character. It depends on how your emotion drives you with the characters. Okay? Okay, next we have a plot. So here it is. When you say a plot, the analysis of the plot seeks to examine the way the introduction. So the suspense, the climax, and the conclusions are written there. Okay? It looks after the element of suspense that could keep the readers hooked. Right? So the writer may compare the plot of the book being reviewed with other books similar to its genre. So a genre maybe it is a poetry, or maybe it is a drama or a fiction or a non-fiction. So that's a genre. So the writer may also suggest ideas that could have been added or removed from the plot that could make the story better. So for example, one can suggest a different ending to the story. So here, if your critical thinking works while you are reading a book, you may suggest in your own selves that maybe it's better this way if the ending could be like this way, right? So for the number four, we have a final verdict. So as what I said, final verdict is like a conclusion, wherein final comments on overall